Howdy tubers. So you don't hear from me for months at a time, and now I'm gonna make you a second video. Um, but it was funny because after I told you that I don't really think about trans things very much because my day-to-day life doesn't really do that. A funny thing happened at work the day before yesterday. I was talking to my department chair, and we were discussing what assignment we should do for our classes, and he said, yeah, we should do that transgender assignment. And he must have thought I was crazy because I looked at him like, what? And he said it like 4 or 5 times. And then I said, well, what does that look like? Like, what kind of assignment are we talking about? And he goes, the transgender kind, like the holidays, and I'm going. He's like, no, I mean non-traditional. And then he goes, transgender, where did that come from? Like, I don't even know like where the term came from. So it's kind of made me curious over the last couple of days. Like, what has he been watching? What has he been paying attention to in the news or something that stuck that in his head? It was just kind of interesting. And then I thought, okay, this is one of those moments when we have to be careful about how we perceive that information, right? So is he saying this because he knows something about me? Because this is where the trans paranoia comes in. You start wondering, especially if you're living stealth for the most part. And I say stealth lightly because I'm not. It's not like I'm hiding some giant secret. It's just that it's not a topic of conversation I need to have with the general public. It's just not something we need to talk about all the time, right? So it was a moment where I had to ask myself, like, was there something he thinks he knows? Does he not know it? Am I making a bigger deal out of it? If I convince myself that here's this man saying this stuff and he's like, thinking something about me, I don't know what he's thinking, like what, right? What I can tell you though is at this stage in my transition where I'm at now, the amount of confidence I have in who I am, what I look like, how I interact with people, that kind of stuff. I don't feel the same type of fear, that sheer frozen feeling you get when somebody misgenders you at a time when you're still kind of in that in-between space. Or when somebody asks you or points out something about being transgender and you're still in that kind of weird space where you're not feeling your gender completely, or you don't feel like you're relating completely, or maybe I'm not finding the right words, but I think most of you will understand this, and so a reaction to something of that nature might be very different at that point in your transition than the way that it rolled with me at work. It was just one of those things where we were two men talking to each other, and he, for some reason, had this shit in his head, whatever it was and why, I don't know. I know there's a lot of the kids at school have brought up Caitlyn Jenner a few times, and they've made some pretty interesting comments, and it is interesting to see how a group of 13-year-olds will talk about subjects like this. And I actually entertain those subjects sometimes, and I have this kind of way of manipulating the conversation that allows us to talk about things. Like, my kids at school constantly go, oh, that's gay. Really? Okay, so I'll give you a good example. Today, one of my students, for some reason, I don't really understand, walked over and held the hand, like grabbed the hand of another student, another boy, and the other boy was like, dude, that's gay. And I said, really? So exactly how is it gay? Well, he was holding my hand. Well, what if your brother holds your hand? Well, that's gay too. Really? Okay. And so, I have lots of gay friends, and I'll hold their hand, and it doesn't matter to me. And some of the students get it, and they'll laugh, and they'll be like, and I think some of the kids are just making a big deal out of nothing, but they don't really care. I have had a couple of students that do truly seem to have a fairly distinct case of homophobia, and we've really had some interesting discussions. But when those conversations come up, the majority of the students are on the side of who cares, which is great because it means the environment in which a lot of these kids are coming up in is getting better. And I don't think any of my students would. I mean, this is funny. If you call them fat, they want to beat the hell out of you. If you call them gay, they just blow you off. It's very, very strange. I don't get it. But they're 13, and that's how it works. So, anyways, I didn't want to stay long tonight, but I just thought I would share that with you. I thought it was kind of interesting. Here I was 2 days after saying nothing really trans was happening in my life, and then this moment occurred, so I thought I would share it with you. Anyways, I will check in with you again soon, I hope. Okay, wait a minute. Before I go, there is one thing that happened in the last few days. It's been kind of interesting. My older son is doing totally awesome in college. He's dual majoring in physics and mathematics. A's are his only focus. He won't take anything less than an A, and he's really busting his ass to do this. I think he's probably going to end up being a research professor. And this year, he and his buddies have decided they're going to do Thanksgiving here at the house. They're going to do all this cooking. They asked me could they borrow the kitchen, all that kind of stuff. And I'm listening to them a little while ago downstairs talking about, how pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie are the bomb. And my bonus child he works at a grocery store, so he's going to get us this ham and turkey deal for next to nothing, which will be great. And all of the boys are talking about how they're going to cook everything up. And I came up here and sat down and got ready to talk to you all. And I thought about all the things I dreamed about with my kids when they were little. Like, who would they become? What would life be like when they got to be adults and that kind of stuff? And every now and again, this thing will happen, and I'll think to myself, there are so many people that get mired down in this idea of tradition. If we can't have it a certain kind of way, then it's just not a tradition. But I think what I'm really enjoying most is the new traditions, the ones they're creating. And maybe this thing where all their friends come over and do all the cooking and I get to sit on my ass and enjoy it, maybe that's a good tradition that I can buy into and be okay with. So anyways, if I don't talk to you guys before the holiday, happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy.